Lily, you need to buy the food and cook dinner for 15 people. After that, clean the house. Once you're done, you can rest. If my husband needs help, just do whatever he asks. My mother-in-law looked so proud when she gave me instructions, but I didn't feel like I had to listen to her anymore. That's too much. I can't do everything on my own, I said. Don't tell me you can't, just do it, my mother-in-law snapped. No, I won't do it. I won't be treated like that, I replied firmly. My mother-in-law's eyes grew wide, and she stared at me angrily. Don't you talk back to me, just do what I say. Her face turned red with anger. All right, then I'll stop being a wife, I said calmly. What do you mean? She asked, clearly frustrated. My name is Lily, I'm 28 years old and a stay-at-home wife. I married my husband, Mark, 2 years ago. When we got married, I became a full-time housewife. We were happy and spent time together, but lately, things have been tense between us. My mother-in-law, who used to be kind to me, suddenly changed. She was nice to me before, but now she acts like a completely different person. It was like something snapped. When I used to visit her, she would say, "Welcome, Lily, relax here," but recently, she'd say things like, "You're late, help me with the housework." She used to tell me to wait for a baby to come naturally, but now she says, "When will I have grandchildren? Isn't it your problem?" I was confused by how she suddenly treated me. Then, she started taking advantage of me. She would make me do everything for her. "Lily, come over here now," she would command over the phone. But I just saw Mark off to work, I tried to explain. Perfect, I wouldn't call you before he leaves. It's a wife's job to make sure her husband goes to work without stress, and once he's gone, it's your job to help your mother-in-law, she insisted. Oh no, I muttered, feeling frustrated. If you understand that, come over right away, she would say before hanging up. Every morning, my mother-in-law would call me like this. If I didn't answer, she would call again and again until I went over. I had to go, because it was driving me crazy. When I arrived, she would bully me and make me do all the work. Soon, I found myself going there on weekends too. I was doing housework at my in-laws' house every single day. Come visit us this weekend, she would write to Mark. Then, she'd secretly pressure me to do all the work. Since she didn't talk to me like that in front of Mark, he had no idea how badly she treated me. My father-in-law travels a lot and is rarely home, even on weekends, so, my mother-in-law is alone at the house. My in-laws' family consists of my mother-in-law and her 3 sons. Mark is the second son, and his brothers are also married. My older brother-in-law and his wife used to live with my in-laws, but they moved when they got transferred for work. My mother-in-law was, and still is, very kind to my younger brother-in-law's wife. Sometimes, my brother-in-law and his wife visit. My mother-in-law treats my younger brother-in-law's wife just like she used to treat me before. Why did she start treating me like this? Did I do something wrong to upset her? What's the difference between me and my younger brother-in-law's wife? I was getting more and more frustrated, so I decided to talk to Mark. Your mom has been really mean to me lately, I told him. But his response was cold. What, you have a problem with her? Come on, I don't want to hear it. He dismissed me, but I tried to keep talking. Basically, these things happen because you expect too much from others. You and my mom are strangers, so don't expect anything from her, he added. His words didn't make much sense. It seemed like he just wanted to avoid the situation without even trying to understand. I felt really let down. After hearing him, I realized that there was no point in expecting any help from my husband because he had become a stranger to me too. Then, New Year's came. As usual, a lot of relatives were gathering at my in-laws' house. My mother-in-law kept asking me to come over. You should come, it's New Year's, family matters, she would say. But I kept saying no, explaining that I had family things to handle during the holiday. Until then, I had always been obedient to her, but suddenly, I didn't feel like following her orders anymore. She became more and more frustrated. On the day of the family gathering, my mother-in-law had a terrible task prepared for me. This was the 3rd time I had gone to this event at my in-laws' house. The first time was right after I married my husband, and I helped my older brother-in-law's wife. Last year, I was cleaning their house and buying groceries. But this year, my mother-in-law wanted me to handle all the preparations for the family gathering. I need you to buy food for 30 people, cook it, and clean the house. Once you're done, you can rest, Lily, and if my husband asks for help, you should do it, she told me. My mother-in-law looked so proud when she said that, but I didn't feel like obeying her anymore. It's impossible, I can't do all that by myself, I said. Don't tell me you can't, just do it, she snapped. No, I won't do it, I'm not going to be treated like that, I said firmly. My mother-in-law's eyes widened, and she glared at me angrily. Don't talk back to me, just do what I say, she shouted, her face turned red, and she looked furious. I calmly responded, okay, I'll stop being a wife then. My mother-in-law was shocked. What do you mean? She demanded. I'm going to divorce James and stop being his wife, I said firmly. You think you can do that? I won't let you, she yelled. I don't need your permission, I replied. Divorce is between husband and wife. Stop being so smart, she screamed. You really make me angry. I smirked and said, funny, I'm also annoyed by every word you say. What did you say? She snapped, glaring at me. Then, my younger brother-in-law's wife, who was standing next to me, spoke up. If you quit, Lily, I'll quit being a wife too. My mother-in-law turned around, surprised. Huh, you're quitting too? Because if this keeps up, I'll be the next one to be mistreated, right? She said. I need to get out of here before it's too late. I smiled, thinking, that's my sister-in-law, she's so smart. Why are you both talking nonsense? I won't let you get away with this, my mother-in-law shouted, frustrated. As we argued, the rest of the family started showing up. My father-in-law and brothers-in-law, including my husband James, had been at the house since early morning helping with preparations. They came over to see what was going on. What's all the noise about? My father-in-law asked, his voice calm but curious. My mother-in-law has been picking on me, and I can't take it anymore, I said. So, as of today, I'm quitting my role as a wife and leaving before I become a target of her bullying, I concluded. My father-in-law frowned and looked at my mother-in-law. What did you say? He asked, clearly upset. You broke your promise, he accused. No, my mother-in-law muttered, looking guilty. What promise? I asked, confused. My father-in-law sighed and spoke to the family. She promised she wouldn't bully her daughters-in-law again, but here we are. Dad, my husband, Mark, interrupted, not understanding what was going on. I'm sorry, Lily, my father-in-law said to me. The reason my oldest son and his wife left the house wasn't because of a work transfer. It was because your mother-in-law was mentally torturing her. She was bullying her. I nodded, understanding. I see, so that's why they didn't come today, and why they haven't shown up to any family events. My father-in-law continued. When my oldest son found out his wife was being bullied, he got angry and left with her. I scolded your mother-in-law, and she promised she wouldn't do it again. She begged me to keep quiet about it, he said, finishing his story. Really? I asked, surprised by the new information. I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier, he said softly. I just didn't think she would do it again. No, it's not your fault, father, I reassured him. Lily, he said, you should go home with Mark today. I'll make your mother-in-law do all the preparations for this gathering by herself. My mother-in-law's eyes widened in panic. Oh no, that's impossible, she cried. Okay, my father-in-law said, his voice firm. Then you tried to force Lily to do something impossible, didn't you? Well, my mother-in-law started to respond, but my father-in-law cut her off. If you had been nicer to your daughters-in-law, none of this would have happened, he said.